Hey all, today's video is going to be about consumption content on YouTube, specifically in the doll influencer sphere. This summer is going to be a big summer filled to the brim with doll releases from Barbie to Rainbow High to OMGs to Monster High. And I'm at a point where I'm like, I might not want to buy a single one of them. And this feeling is sort of like a feeling of being dolled out and not being really interested in new doll releases. And I pondered the question why that's the case. And I feel like it has a lot to do with consumption content in regards to doll collecting that I've consumed over the past year, and also making me ponder whether my own purchasing habits are all that healthy. I know we used to laugh and point fingers at our moms buying unnecessary kitchen appliances off of home shopping on TV, and those mind games and mechanics that the people who work on home shopping channels use to make people purchase stuff might also work on us, even though we always thought that we would never be able to be bamboozled into buying something that we don't need, but maybe we have been. So, what is content? Content in general is anything from written text to images to music to videos that any one of us can put online onto social media channels. So in that case, yeah, well, duh, consumption can also be content. But is consumption also fulfilling content? Now that's how I should rather paraphrase the question, because I thought to myself, now, is it fulfilling as a content creator to produce? And is it fulfilling for the audience and us as viewers to watch? Now, when it comes to the metric of fulfilling as a creator to produce, one of the biggest doll tubers here on the platform, Zombie XCon, recently posted on his Instagram stories that moving forward, he does not want to make any more unboxing content, and I can kind of relate to that. I like to be totally transparent with you. I also do not like to film and edit unboxing of new doll releases. Now I know that some of my highest views I've garnered on this channel are because of unboxings that I did from getting new doll releases and posting those on here, and I was being opportunistic when doing those. Of course, I was also very curious as a doll collector to check those out, because there hadn't been any kind of unboxings of, let's say, the My First Barbie dolls on this platform here, and as of filming this video, there also have not been any unboxings of the VIP Hair Academy dolls on this platform. So I thought, okay, it's going to push my channel, it's going to be good for my channel, but I'm also going to be checking out a doll that I'm very interested in seeing, and there has not been any other creator doing an unboxing of that one, so I'm able to experience it firsthand. But unlike with unboxings of like vintage dolls, where I can be very casual about it, I can just chit chat with you, because at this point everyone knows what you can expect when it comes to a 90s Barbie. So I do not have to talk about articulation or hair quality or hair rooting patterns or any of that stuff. I can be very casual, and I also purchased something that I wanted to purchase for myself and I had on my wish list for a long time. With new doll releases, it kind of feels formulaic and robotic, and you have to go through the motions and have to go through a checklist of things that any one of us is interested in getting to know about the new doll release. So it's not very fun to create content about that. Like, it's kind of awkward to be holding a pink purse in the camera lens and saying that this doll comes with a pink purse. So that's why, in that sense, consumption content in terms of purchasing a doll to create content about that doll because it's a new doll release and everyone is interested in that doll release is not that fulfilling as a creator. I'm also not very good at feigning enthusiasm to appease certain folks in the toy industry, and I'm not like, oh my god, this doll is so beautiful. Oh, I can't believe it. It's just so stunning and gorgeous. Can you believe it? No, I'm not that kind of person. That's just not my gig. I'm not good at faking anything. So That's why I'm also very reluctant to produce that type of content. But I'm not saying that I'm not going to be doing that. I am always going to be interested in new DAW releases, and if I see that there is now one doing something about that, I have to take it upon myself to do that. Not only for myself as a collector and a fan, but also for my audience who might be interested in it. Now that's the criteria of, is consumption content about DAWs fulfilling as a creator? Now let's move on over to, is it fulfilling as an audience to watch? And I can say yes. I myself love to watch doll hunts, people going to stores to check out what's on offer there, people who unbox and review dolls, even though I always like to just watch one unboxing of a new doll release, and if that one is very thorough, I'm okay with that. So kind of strikes me as awkward when I see dozens upon dozens of unboxings of the very same doll. So at the end of the day, I'm not going to be watching every single one of that one. I'm just watching one and I'm okay with that. I do like variety in my content, so having it be just very samey and not varied enough is not very interesting to me. So in that terms, consumption content, when it's very repetitive, can get boring for me as an audience member. So it's good to watch something that's illuminating to satisfy my curiosity, but it's not my main focus in seeking out the type of content that I would like to watch. I also think that a lot of creators let themselves get turned into a pawn for certain toy companies. Like recently I had watched a video, not saying any names, but to paraphrase what that person said in that video, it was almost like, go buy that doll, it's worth that money. And I feel like that's a decision that every single one of us has to make for themselves. I do not like to have someone tell people who might get easily influenced into making a purchase decision that they would then go on to eventually regret, be made for them by a creator. I just think that's kind of sleazy. Like, a lot of us are very cynical in a sense that we're like, oh my god, influencers, as if. But there are people out there who let themselves get easily swayed by arguments made by an influencer, who let themselves get swept up by hype into making a purchase decision, even if it's just a $30 doll, that they would then go on to think to themselves, did I actually like that doll? So I heard stories about doll collectors who cannot afford their rent, who do not have enough money to put food on the table, but have tons of dolls on pre-order, and that's kind of worrying. And don't let yourself get bamboozled into paying the asking price for a product that's absolutely not worth it. As a consumer, you always have power to influence what kind of product is being served to you. And I think that a lot of people in the community need to realize that in order to better the products that they're getting by certain companies. So consumption content can turn into a slippery slope when there are people out there with not the best intentions, and when you have people out there who get easily swayed by certain folks into paying money for a doll that they might not care for that much in the long run. I do remember how consumption content on YouTube started back in the 2000s, the late 2000s, early 2010s, with people doing hauls of the stuff they bought at, I don't know, clothing stores, drugstores, probably fast fashion brands, and makeup hauls and stuff like that. And I think that it was interesting for people to watch because it was sort of like a chit-chat video where you just sat down with your bestie, even if it wasn't a person that was in the room with you, but one that you watched on a screen. And it was very comforting to watch. And that comfort can also turn into trust. and that trust can also be taken advantage of people. So that's why I think consumption content is a very touchy subject matter overall. It's very important to take a step back and to reflect on one's own behavior after having consumed that type of content, how it might have changed one's own behavioral patterns. And with the environmental repercussions of overconsumption, we also have to hold companies accountable for their mass production. I remember seeing videos and pictures of the parking lot clearance sales that were going on in front of the Mattel toy store in El Segundo, California. It was kind of a sickening sight to behold, seeing the masses of product piled up onto one another at prices that were so low. I remember seeing the Barbie Rewind Wave 2 Christie doll be sold there for $7. They had hundreds of her. She had an MSRP of $45. And if you think about the labor and workforce that went into the creation of that doll and production and manufacturing companies back in China and Indonesia, as well as the cost of materials, and you see them sell that doll for $7, masses of that doll that weren't sold, that nobody cared for because the MSRP of $45 was pretty overpriced to begin with. It makes you think, it makes you question, it makes you ponder if it's the right thing to do. Holding companies accountable is something that a consumer sometimes from time to time has to do. And right now I'm in a position where I'm like reflecting upon the purchases that I made over the past couple of years and how it might have been fueled by consuming consumption content on YouTube. Like, that was part of the inspiration for making this video because it's sort of like a back and forth of enabling certain types of behaviors by creating content in the field of doll collecting, by consuming content by other creators, and also purchasing way too many products that you would not have, maybe. But is there a way out of this spiral? Right now, I'm not really interested in new doll releases, as I had said at the beginning of the video. I'm very much focused on making vintage doll purchases, and also just super interested in going to flea markets and thrift stores and getting vintage dolls and sprucing them up and bringing them back to their former glory. Now, that's something that I'm interested in. Of course, if there's a person out there who's not really interested in old dolls and doesn't really get the vibe or think they're pretty or think they're interesting in terms of collecting them, that's of course something different, because then you do only have the option of getting new dolls. But maybe you can just take a step back and think to yourself, do I need to have a full set? Do I need to be a completionist? Do I need to have every single one of those dolls? Or maybe I do have dolls where I'm not vibing with. Maybe even with new doll releases, there are dolls that I'm less interested in purchasing, so do I need to purchase them? I also want to encourage everyone who buys modern dolls and then has to throw the packaging away to separate the recyclable parts of their doll packaging and recycle the cardboard and paper stuff and not throw everything into the same bin. These are all small things that one can do to not really make overconsumption turn this whole world into a dumpster fire. And like I had also said, we can take companies accountable for the products they produce and whether those products are worth the money they are asking for. So if you see a doll that you think is absolutely not worth paying the price for, do not pay the price for it. And I think hype is probably, along with FOMO, the most dangerous thing fueling overconsumption by watching consumption content on social media. Now, this is a very interesting discussion, and I'm really curious to know what you think. Do you agree with some of the points that I've made? Would you like to add on to it? Would you like to correct me if I said something that was pretty wrong? Please do so down in the comment section below. Like if you liked this video, dislike if you thought this video was trash, subscribe to my channel if you want to see more content like this, and I might see you in my next video. So bye for now.